My name is Chris, and today we're going to open up this beauty. Welcome to the Vinyl Attack. I've been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for quite some time. Months, actually, but I wasn't sure if it would go over very well. There were quite a few channels already for a smaller niche hobby, and I didn't want to show up to the party with nothing to offer. The last thing the vinyl community needed was another rube with no clue as to what he wanted to say or do, unloading a bunch of videos on the internet. But while I was mulling it over, or saving up the courage perhaps, I started to collect a few items that I thought would be good for unboxing on my, as of then, not yet realized channel. I'd find this box set here or a hi-fi accessory there and set it aside with the intention of cracking them open once I'd got going. So I packed them away into a corner of shame while I went off to try and think up a clever name and logo for this new venture. Fast forward to now, and I'm exceedingly happy with not only the progress of the channel, but the amazingly supportive community in which I find myself. The other day, I took a look at my Kallax shelf of records and box sets and realized I could finally open some of these things not only for you on camera, but for myself so that I might actually give them a clean and a listen. As I'm sure some of you can attest, I don't need any more records amassing in an unclean pile getting no use. Sometimes, it seems we can get so busy scouring the internet trying to sort the best way to clean our records, or to source some information on the latest gadget and if it will be worth our time and money, that we forget that the end goal of this hobby is mainly about the music we love and its enjoyment. All throughout my youth, one such band that brought me excitement whenever I would throw in a cassette and press play was Metallica. Now, I'm sure many of you remember the Metallica of which I speak, but I'm also sure there are many of you who weren't around to experience just how groundbreaking this band was before they became the household name that they are today. I wasn't old enough to see their first couple of albums in a record store, but I clearly recall the day Roy Mata showed up with a copy of Kill 'Em All at my house and implored me to take a listen. Roy was a year older than I was, and the friends he was starting to make in junior high school were listening to things up until then that he and I couldn't even conceive. In the amazingly short span of a summer, I was exposed to Quiet Riot, The Misfits, AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, and the mighty Metallica. Now, clearly some of those bands have been around for a while, but others were relatively new, and you should keep in mind that I was barely 11 years old, and there was no internet to discover that sort of thing. You actually had to find it on your own. So I did what every kid in the neighborhood was doing, and made a copy of the Metallica tape and listened to it non-stop. How could someone even play this fast? The frantic pace, the searing leads, and was that two bass drums I heard? I'd say the main guy, as I didn't even know their names yet, was singing, but it wasn't really singing. It was passion and aggression simply in key with the music. I was utterly fascinated, and I had to find more. Thankfully, my group of friends all had the same fervent need I did, and some were able to acquire some new tapes that we didn't even know existed. Ride the Lightning was about what? Master of Puppets referenced drugs? And lo and behold, they were going to release a new album later in the summer called And Justice for All. I digested it as fast as I could. Each album was played from morning until night as I tried to understand what was happening. But all throughout, I kept returning to Kill 'Em All. It's not that it was my favorite. Well, perhaps maybe at the time it was. But more than that was the mystique of the whole package. The speed, the aggression, the lyrical content, the sinister cover with a hammer and blood seemed downright illegal, and I'm certain if my mother had any idea what was going on, she would have taken that from me in a heartbeat. But wasn't that what metal was all about? So when I found out Metallica released box sets of their first 4 albums, or as we Metallica snobs like to say, their only good albums, I knew I needed to have them. Unfortunately, I was in the infancy of starting my record collection again after having lost almost all of it during several moves throughout the years, and box sets weren't anywhere on my radar. I managed to score Master and Justice for original cover price, if you can believe that, and a few months later I was able to do the same with Lightning. But once I did, I knew I needed that first album. I had to have it in my collection come hell or high water. There was only one problem. It seemed that everyone else had a similar story of my youth, and the Kill 'Em All box set was selling regularly at $400. It was simply out of reach at that time. If you're anything like I am, there's a gnawing, aching, grinding feeling when you're working on putting together a set of something and you're missing a piece. The empty space in your collection glares at you, it mocks you, it calls your name in the middle of the night reminding that you are not done yet. You have to find that missing piece or you'll never rest. But how can I justify $400? I simply couldn't. But then something odd happened. It's almost as if destiny or fate came calling, and it moved so swift and direct that to this day I honestly cannot recall the details of what happened next. I know I was on my computer goofing around, but I do not remember how or why I would ever think to look on Amazon for a box set such as this, but that must have been what I did. I know Amazon is an awful place to find an out-of-print record, and I know the markup is ridiculous, and I'd much rather support a local store. And yet, seemingly, without physically typing a word, there I was looking at a brand new, completely sealed box set of Kill 'Em All right on my screen. When I shook the haze loose, I realized the price was only $200. Now, that's not chump change, but for this box set, it was certainly a deal. As a matter of fact, it was such a good deal that I read the listing several times over, making sure it was the right thing before I hit the buy button. How on earth could I have found this box set that I so coveted on the world's biggest marketplace for only $200? So, at the risk of someone else clicking on it before I could confirm what I'd found, I added it to my cart and I went about the sale. From there, more strangely coincidental things took place. Just 2 days before, I'd taken my spare change jar to the bank to cash it in. It had filled to the point of spilling over, and I wanted to clear it out. Now, normally, I simply hit the cash button on the change machine and cringe as it charges me an obscene percentage to turn my spare change into something we Americans seem to deem more real, paper money. This time, however, I didn't hit cash. I looked over the options that I'd seen many times before this, and I decided that this time I'm going to get an Amazon gift voucher. When you do something like that, the full amount is applied and the machine doesn't take its cut. It was just over $100. That wasn't the last of it either. I'd had an Amazon Prime credit card that I used for my business for quite a while, and yet somehow I never noticed that I was accruing reward dollars for using it. I had an available option of $50 sitting there just waiting to be used. When the dust settled, and I was able to finally come to terms with what I'd found and added up the spare change and reward money, I paid just over $54 out of pocket for this long-awaited box that I've been pining for ages. I couldn't believe it, and when it finally arrived at what felt like an eternity in shipping, I felt the kind of happiness and excitement about it that I hadn't experienced since I was a kid. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was going to push forward with making this channel, and I knew I was going to hold on to this box until I was ready to share it with all of you. What I didn't know is how many of you would be coming along for the ride. So with that garrulous soliloquy at its end, let's finally open up this box and see what's inside. Now, generally speaking, we know what's going to be in the box. We've got a list right here, 5 CDs, 3 LPs, a DVD, I think there's a patch as well. But is there something about opening it up and checking it out in person, or as close as you are, that it's kind of more exciting than just looking at photos on the internet? Let's open this up and see what we have. Or let's struggle to open this up and see what we have. Thankfully, the only thing I gouged was the cardboard on the outside. Opening the other ones, I really like how heavy duty the box set is and that it's really not glossy. This is kind of a muted, tamped down look, and it's really kind of, it fits the Metallica Mystique, or what was the Metallica Mystique when it first came out, because this was really groundbreaking. This is a nice hardbound book. Let's see what's in here. So 83, 84, obviously this was released in 83. That's Johnny Z, I believe, their producer. Obviously Cliff, God rest his soul. Kirk Hammett had only been in the band, I think, for a month when they went into the studio to record this thing. They were rehearsing and playing nonstop in New York when they went into the studio. I would imagine reading all of these will be pretty entertaining. Stuff about Cliff from his father Ray, who actually passed away, it was not all that long ago himself, but who was a great ambassador for heavy metal for a long time after Cliff's passing. This looks really nice. Oh, a bunch of old ticket stubs. That's kind of cool. So we could go through this the whole time, but let's see what else is in there. Wow, that's a big patch. Now, I know it said it was going to come with a patch, but geez, look at the size of this thing. You can iron it on and sew it on. I might actually have to do that. It almost looks, though, like they could have maybe cut around this. There's so much dead space. I wonder if I can put something else inside of this part of the patch here and then put it on a jacket. I don't even have a jacket that this would work for, but I'll get one. That's not a big deal. So this has got some whatever schmutz from the factory on it. I don't care that much. But let's take a look inside, because this is going to go in a protective cover and sit in my record collection while the box itself sits at the very bottom. And then this comes with an insert that has all the lyrics. And you know what's nice about this is, even though they're kind of small, even at my advanced age, I can read these damn things. So that's kind of cool. I mean, I know them all, but I don't know. Sometimes it's nice to have a adult beverage in one hand and liner notes in the other, and you just kind of listen to the record. And this has come with a paper-lined poly sleeve, which are quickly becoming my favorite sleeves because they're very anti-static, but I like that the paper's a little stiff, and it's easier to get them in and out. Yeah, it's got the blackened in the dead wax, made on the Metallica press. And the quality, at least of the other ones I have, especially the Master of Puppets, it's a really good pressing. I know that, I think MoFi did a pressing. I know there have been several pressings by several different people that have mastered Master of Puppets. But the one that came in the box set, I'm a big fan of that one. So I usually don't find myself looking around for additional pressings because I'm very happy with what I have already. I'm hoping this will be the same, but I don't have an original copy of this one, unfortunately, so I might go look for it because, again, there's just something about this record. Maybe it's not their best. I mean, for my opinion, it really isn't, but it doesn't matter. This was my first real true experience to heavy metal, whether it was thrash or speed or whatever you wanted to call it. Back then, we didn't really have names like that for that kind of stuff. And then this is live 1984. What is this? Oh, this is a Metallica code that you can't have, so I'm going to put that aside. But I'm going to download that. And then inside here, we have 2 albums. Same thing, paper sleeves, poly-lined, very nice. Paris, France. They were on a shoestring budget when they did that world tour as well, so that's pretty impressive that they recorded it all the way there. This is super cool, and I will probably put this on a shelf, but quite frankly, picture discs, and I know this is controversial to some people who collect records, picture discs sound like shit. It's just the way it is. Are they worth having? Certainly, and if you like them, go for it. But as far as a sound quality perspective, if you really want to have a quality album to listen to, a picture disc is not what you want. But this really does look cool. So I'll definitely put this on a shelf, maybe on a wall, something like that. I will also probably put it in a regular sleeve, this really heavy-duty, thick, nasty kind of sleeve. Even though I'm not going to play this thing, I don't know, it doesn't look all that good anyway. It's very glossy and glary. Glary, yeah, that's a word. So I have some CDs that came loose during shipping. And what CDs we get? So we've got Live in New York, Live in California, 83, 84. Live in Chicago, 83. So we've got some live stuff. This is, I believe, yeah, this is the Kill 'Em All remastered CD. Get the liner notes out. Again, it comes with the lyrics, and even this, the lyrics, I can still read these. I know I'm sure some of you kids are laughing at me, but it'll matter. Trust me, it'll matter. And then finally, we have Deluxe Edition interview and radio IDs. So you'll be hearing probably Lars ad nauseum telling you what radio station he's on currently. And then Deluxe Edition rough mixes from Lars's vault. So this might be worth a listen. I've heard a lot of their rough mixes and demos over the years. But I'm actually quite excited to tear open, well, not tear open, but get a clean on even this live one. Oh, look, blackened A2, Vinyl Up Your Ass. That, of course, was the original, Metal Up Your Ass was the original title they wanted to do for Kill 'Em All, and Johnny Z was smart enough to let the guys know that that would never fly. You're never going to be able to sell it anywhere than underground stuff. You're never going to get radio play, which didn't happen a ton anyway, but in small college stations, they still got a lot. They wouldn't have even gotten that if they called the album Metal Up Your Ass, and the story goes that Cliff was kind of bummed out about it. So referring to the record executives who wouldn't want to sell an album called Metal Up Your Ass, he said, just kill them all. Then again, I don't know how true some of that stuff is because I know that Kirk had a ridiculously awful story about how they got the name for Saint Anger, or as the Metallica snobs call it, Saint Wanker. That's okay, but this is what I've been after for a long time, and now my collection is complete, and I have all 4 in their box sets. And I like these because on the side, not only does it have the logo and the name, but it also has what the date is. And so it's 83, then 84 for Ride the Lightning, 86 for Master, and 88 for Justice. It just will look good sitting on the shelf, all next to each other. That's going to do it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If you haven't already, hit subscribe, hit the like button, and we are selling stickers like crazy, but I do still have quite a few left. So go to thevinylattack.com and you can buy stickers, and I will see you next time. I look forward to next time. Yeah, that's what I say. I look forward to next time.